The lunch rush was already fading when Emily Carter felt her hands start to shake, the kind of exhaustion that crept in when you're given everything you had and still knew it wasn't enough. The small roadside diner on the outskirts of Cedar Falls, Iowa, smelled of grilled bread, cheap coffee, and a quiet desperation of people passing through. Emily stood behind the counter, apron stained, feet aching, heart heavy, unaware that a single small act she was about to make would quietly turn her entire life upside down. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small choices to change everything, take a moment right now to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can reach the world. Emily was 23, a college dropout with student loans she couldn't finish paying and dreams she had carefully folded away like old letters. Her mother had passed 2 years earlier after a long illness, leaving Emily alone with grief, debt, and a stubborn determination to survive. She worked double shifts whenever she could, smiling until her cheeks hurt, pretending she didn't notice the way customers sometimes spoke down to her or avoided her eyes. Tips were unpredictable, rent was not, and every sandwich she served reminded her of how thin the line was between stability and falling apart. That afternoon, a man and a little girl walked in just as Emily was wiping down the counter. The man looked tired in a way money usually protected people from, though Emily didn't know that yet. His coat was clean but plain, his posture stiff, as if he carried responsibility like a physical weight. The little girl, maybe 6 years old, had her hair in uneven pigtails and eyes that scanned the room with quiet curiosity. They sat in a booth near the window, the girl swinging her legs slowly, her gaze lingering on the plates passing by. Emily approached with menus, noticing how the man studied prices longer than most customers did, not with worry, but with calculation. He ordered a simple coffee for himself and a glass of water for the girl. No food. Emily felt a familiar tightening in her chest. She had seen this before. Parents pretending they weren't hungry. Children learning too early how to be patient. As Emily walked back toward the counter, she caught a glimpse of the little girl watching another table receive sandwiches piled high with meat and melted cheese. The girl didn't complain or ask. She just swallowed and looked down at her hands. Something in that quiet restraint hit Emily harder than any spoken plea ever could. Behind the counter sat Emily's own lunch, a sandwich she had packed carefully that morning, stretching the last of her groceries until payday. She hesitated only a moment. She knew what it meant to be hungry in public, to feel invisible while your stomach twisted. Without making a show of it, she wrapped the sandwich in a clean napkin, poured a small cup of milk, and walked back to the booth. She placed the sandwich gently in front of the little girl, offering a soft smile, and moved away before the man could say anything. Her heart pounded, fear and relief mixing together. She didn't want thanks. She didn't want attention. She just wanted the girl to eat. From the booth, the man watched in silence as his daughter took cautious bites, her face slowly lighting up with comfort and surprise. He had planned to leave quickly, to manage the day as efficiently as possible, but something about that simple gesture rooted him to the seat. He observed Emily from a distance, noticing the tired grace in the way she moved, the way she treated every customer with the same care, no matter what they ordered. What Emily didn't know was that the man's name was Jonathan Reeves, and he was a founder and CEO of a logistics company valued at over $400 million. He rarely spoke about his wealth, especially since his wife's death 2 years earlier had stripped all meaning from success. Since then, he traveled quietly with his daughter, Lily, trying to teach her humility, resilience, and empathy in a world that often rewarded none of those things. Jonathan paid the bill in cash, leaving a tip that Emily didn't notice until later. Before leaving, he looked back once, watching Emily laugh politely with another customer, completely unaware of the impact she had just made. Days passed. Emily's life continued as usual, scraping by, counting tips, pushing grief aside. Then one morning, the diner owner called her into the office, his expression unusually serious. Emily's stomach dropped, already calculating how long she could survive without this job. Instead, she was handed an envelope. Inside was a handwritten note thanking her for her kindness, not just to a child, but to a father who had forgotten that compassion still existed in quiet places. Enclosed was a check large enough to make Emily dizzy. It wasn't charity. It was an opportunity. Jonathan had arranged for Emily's outstanding student debt to be paid, anonymously at first, and offered her a fully funded scholarship to finish her education, with no obligation other than to continue being exactly who she already was. He had also invested in the diner itself, ensuring stable hours and better wages for staff, without ever attaching his name publicly. When Emily finally met Jonathan again weeks later, it was in a modest office, not a grand boardroom. He explained simply that his daughter had learned something important that day. That kindness didn't come from abundance, but from empathy. Emily listened, overwhelmed, understanding for the first time that her smallest choice had rippled outward in ways she could never have predicted. Her life didn't become perfect overnight. She still worked hard. She still grieved. But doors opened. Confidence grew. She returned to school, studying social work, determined to one day be the person who noticed quiet hunger and responded without judgment. Jonathan watched from a distance as Emily rebuilt her life, proud not of the money he had given, but the reminder she had given him. Lily grew up remembering that day not as the moment her father revealed his wealth, but as a moment she learned that generosity didn't require permission. Years later, Emily would stand in a community center she helped run, serving meals to families in need, carrying forward the same quiet kindness that once saved her from despair. If this story moved you, take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes small actions matter, and subscribe to support stories that remind us of our shared humanity. And just before you go, leave a comment below telling us about a moment when kindness changed your life, because your story might inspire someone else to keep going.